Do you know what really helps if you're a wrestler? Being a badass. There's nothing wrong if you're not that, but if you seem like you could genuinely kick someone's ass, people are gonna think you can kick someone's ass. Look at Goldberg. Goldberg came back to the WWE at 50 years old, but because he looks like he could kick someone's ass, well, you get the idea by this point. But who kicks the most ass? And who should you run away from if they clock you in the street and start running at you? It's only fair you know. So, I'm Simon from WhatCulture, and this is the 10 most badass wrestlers on the planet today. Number 10, Shinsuke Nakamura. Shouldn't come as too much of a surprise this, Nakamura's nickname is the King of Strong Style, and Strong Style will kick your ass. Aside from being a multi-time pro wrestling champion though, and hurling and taking serious blows during his matches, he's also trained in a ton of martial arts and taken part in veiled judo. Veiled judo is not for the weak at heart. It's brutal. On top of that, some of the most accomplished fighters that currently walk this earth have heaped their tutelage onto Nakamura, which you can kinda see when he steps into the ring. When he goes, he really goes. And you can't have that moniker and not back it up, but Shinsuke does each and every time. Just go and watch, well, nearly all his matches. The bruising and welts are real, man, as is the hideous pain afterwards. Number 9, Yoshiko. The word badass is open to interpretation, but for this video, let's just categorize it as a term that means you kick a lot of ass without remorse, even though sometimes that's not cool at all. So tough. We're going with tough. This is why when in 2015, when a shoot fight broke out between Yoshiko and Yasukawa, things went crazy and things went crazy quick. Without warning, Yoshiko proceeded to beat the living hell out of her opponent, and even though she tried to fight back, Yasukawa was eventually rushed to hospital with a list of horrible injuries. It's so brutal it's hard to watch, and what's stranger is that Yoshiko has never explained why she did this. The believed story is that the work-shoot element just got out of hand, but that's like saying you murdered someone on a film set because you were given a bat. Doesn't make any sense. There's always consequences to these incidences, however, and in this case it's simple. Don't mess with Yoshiko, she will destroy you. Number 8, Alberto El Patron. As well as wrestling, Alberto El Patron, or Del Rio if you prefer, was an MMA enthusiast. He loved it so much, in fact, he got involved and won his first competitive match in 50 seconds. And during that, he broke his opponent's arm. He would go on to win 8 more of his 14 bouts, and then in 2016 was made the president of Combate Americas. The man knows what he's talking about in the mixed martial arts world and has the record and memories to prove it. If that wasn't enough too, let's not forget that in October 2016, Alberto was the victim of a knife attack and then still showed up to wrestle at WCPW the same week. Most of us would have stayed in bed and cried into a donut, but not El Patron. He just carried on trucking. Number 7, Bobby Lashley. Aside from looking like he could kick your ass, and maybe eat you alive too, Bobby Lashley is also one trained to the gill's mother. Even before he became a pro wrestler, he had won several amateur competitions, and he even wrestled as part of the US military. Bobby also had a near-death experience during a bank robbery that stopped him training for the 2004 Olympics, but still walked that off to pursue his dreams in the business, and MMA on top of that. In fact, in the martial arts world, he's won a very impressive 15 out of 17 fights as we record this video, and you know he's a badass, because he divides his time between pro wrestling and MMA. One's pretty good, 2 is more than solid. Number 6, Chris Jericho. Somewhat surprisingly, Chris Jericho doesn't back down from fights, ever. He's a no-nonsense type of a guy who will stand up for himself no matter what, or who may be getting in the way. The most famous of these encounters was with none other than Bill Goldberg. After it had been said Bill was bad-mouthing Jericho when he arrived in the WWE, and that he had done the same during the pair's WCW run, Y2J confronted Goldberg, which prompted the former NFL player to grab Chris around his neck. Seeing this as an act of war, as you would, Jericho took down the larger man and put him in a front face lock. Imagine that visual. Crazy. It's not like this was a one and done either. Jericho was back at it again after the SummerSlam 2016 main event when he got right in Lesnar's face, thinking the finish of the Brock Orton main event had gone awry. The two exchanged heated words, and even though it never turned violent, that is some balls from one Chris Jericho. Brock probably could have broken him. Number 5, The Undertaker. Don't have to be the loudest guy to be a badass, just gotta be able to tough things out, and The Undertaker's been doing that for more than 2 decades. Whether it's fighting through injury or acting as a leader in the locker room, there's a reason Taker is as feared and respected as he is, and it's not because he pretends to play a zombie. For one, he fought through second-degree burns after he was engulfed in flames at the Elimination Chamber in 2010. The Phenom had to douse himself in water as he stood in his pod, and then still emerged to do his job. That is crazy. Then there's the Hell in a Cell match with Mick Foley where he had a broken foot, plus the time he just taped up his sternum because he had a bunch of broken ribs. He's also a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and is literally someone no one in the back would ever mess with. Taker's the man. Number 4, New Jack. Another individual who toes that line between badass and, well, not nice person. New Jack is remembered vividly in pro wrestling circles, mostly due to how he would kick the shit out of his opponents without a second thought. In 2004, for example, he was charged with assault for pulling a knife on a wrestler and stabbing them. Then there was the time New Jack said he deliberately pushed fellow wrestler Vic Grimes too hard off some scaffolding, so he'd miss the tables below and wouldn't be able to break his fall. He did this as an act of revenge, feeling like Grimes had done something similar 2 years earlier. Then of course is that incident. In the ring with the untrained Eric Koulas, New Jack beat him up so badly, Koulas needed 50 stitches. That's pretty intense right there. Number 3, Triple H. Say what you want about Triple H, there are few wrestlers who embody the whole "you don't stop for injury" more than him. Man is relentless. This naturally started when he tore his quad completely off the bone in 2001 during a tag team match against Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit. Hell, he even allowed Y2J to put him in the walls of Jericho, a move that specifically targets your leg muscles. The pain must have been horrendous. As well as that, he almost died during the first ever Elimination Chamber match, but carried on anyway. Rob Van Dam misjudged his 5-star frog splash completely and came crashing down on the game's throat. People have legitimately died from lesser blows to that region, and yet Triple H stayed on for the rest of the bout. Sometimes wrestlers are nuts, but they are badasses. Number 2, Kurt Angle. Do you know how Kurt Angle won an Olympic gold medal? Well, great wrestling skills, but he did it all with a broken frickin' neck. While that may be a catchphrase today, it's also a sign that Angle is not afraid to work through tremendous pain and somehow still come out on top. He's also been voted as the greatest shoot wrestler ever by USA Wrestling and is a 2-time NCAA Division I heavyweight champion. You don't get all that by not being a badass. Kurt has also gotten into his fair share of backstage fights over the years and always held his own. Furthermore, he continues on regardless. He wrestled Shane McMahon with a broken tailbone and Brock Lesnar after he re-injured his neck. Most people wouldn't leave their house after that. Not Kurt, he'll do anything. Number 1, Brock Lesnar. You know why Brock Lesnar is so believable? Because he's legit. Few wrestlers can dish out physical harm like the Beast, be that in a worked or shoot capacity. He can take a beating as well. Lesnar landed right on his head at WrestleMania 19 and yet still finished the match even though he was knocked loopy, and as we know, he jumped across to the UFC and won the heavyweight title. You don't just do that, you've got to be one hell of a badass, and damn it, that's what Brock is. Then there's his amateur wrestling accomplishments and the fact one day he went, screw it, I'm going to play in the NFL. And he almost did. No matter where he turns his attentions, he usually gets something out of it. There's also the fact that, you know, he beat Randy Orton's head to a pulp at SummerSlam in 2016. Whether that's good or not, I don't know, but it was crazy, that's for damn sure. Know of any other wrestlers who deserve to be called a badass? Let us know in the comments below, and then have a like, share, and subscribe. You can even follow me on Twitter at SimonMiller316 or WhatCulture at WhatCulture WWE. I'm Simon from WhatCulture, and I will chat to you again soon.